Hey, what's up? You're listening to Music Posting? I'm Alex.
And I'm Astrid, and today we're reviewing Porter Robinson's Nurture from 2021. This week,
Yes.
Alex brought this to me because technically last time, I picked Bjork Post, so we're kind of ping-ponging.
Yeah.
And just a little upkeep before we get into it. I have a new album out, Dissident Blue
Let's
by Lilac
go.
Boy. Yep, you can stream it,
Woo.
buy it pretty much anywhere music is released. Check it out if you're interested in terminally online noise sound pop.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Check it
but
out. Check it out. Great
but yeah,
album.
Porter Robinson's Nurture, everybody.
Yeah, I was really excited to talk about this one. Honestly, so I guess I kind of messed up. I thought Lil Nas X was releasing his new album, but it was just a single,
Just a
which had
single.
it was just a single, which had such a wild music video. I don't know if you've seen it.
I actually did not.
Yeah, a lot of people were, like, really upset about it. I didn't understand why or, like, what they're I mean, like, I
He always seems to get into controversy, but it's always like the dumbest shit. Like, do you remember the one where he was like a devil in hell, and people like
yeah,
for some reason everyone like the moms got out and were like yelling, "You can't
yeah,
do this! This is satanic and gay!" Like
yeah,
that kind of
he
stuff.
he gave Satan a lap dance, and
That was awesome.
a lot of people were very, like, unhappy about that.
So what was it
Um,
this time? What? Well, I mean, you can't tell. You're saying?
I mean, it's not something
Yeah,
I
you can't
was
relate.
personally. Yeah, I can't relate. It was more, religious imagery, but with, like, a
I
very,
see.
like, campy, sexual, like, undertone.
He's just
Um
riling those people up.
Yeah, and then we were thinking of doing 21 Savage, and then we were thinking of doing, Kid Cudi, and then we
Mm.
were thinking of doing, Kali Uchis's new
There
album.
was a lot. We were really deliberating.
Yeah, but ultimately, we settled for Nurture because I had decision paralysis, and I love this album, and I was just in a Nurture mood,
Yeah.
and, Nurture puts me in a jelly belly, a jelly bean
That's
eating mood.
really funny that you say that, and you only say that because you've had this bowl of jelly beans in front of you. What for what seems like a week. I feel like every recording that I'm in with you, you're eating a bowl of Jelly Bellies,
Yeah.
which I respect. But what's funny is that you're not wrong. This album does feel like eating Jelly Bellies. That's like a really good way to describe it.
Yeah, I would say it's like springtime in an album, jelly beans in an album. It feels like a warm hug. Like to set the mood for you guys, the album cover is Porter Robinson and he's just laying face down in a meadow full of overgrown grass and like daisies and wildflowers.
Yeah, it's very
Um
much the vibe. But I want to get into like my background with this album and like how I came into it. But
mhm.
I want to know like your background with it because it seems to me that this album means like a little bit more to you than it does to me.
Yeah.
So what's your like background with Porter Robinson? Like what got you listening to this and why do you want to review it so bad today?
So I was introduced to Porter Robinson a while ago, and then he kind of like fell off my radar for a very
He
long
fell off?
time. No, well, I wouldn't
I'm just
say he
kidding. I'm
fell
just
off,
kidding.
but I was aware of him. I think I found out about him around like 2016, which is kind of late considering when Worlds came out, which is Porter Robinson's like first album. That one
Mm,
came out in 2014, so I caught on a bit later. And, you know, I thought that album was great. He's a really interesting, music producer. I guess some background on Porter. He's always had, like, this very, like, anime adjacent, um,
yeah,
style.
that's what I wanted to get into for my for my introduction to Porter. If it's okay to jump in here.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll just quickly say, I guess Nurture for me, was very excited because I was keeping up with the singles, and this was around the time of the pandemic.
That's true.
Um And it was just a very, like, comforting sound in a very depressing time.
Mm,
And when it came out, I just had it on repeat because it felt very much like I mean, at the time, there was a whole bunch of lockdowns, but this very much felt like a slice of outside.
yeah.
And it was just a very comforting album with very, like, uplifting messages, very uplifting instrumentals. Um, and yeah, whenever I just felt really down, I just put it on. So this album does mean a lot to me. It got me through a pretty rough time in my life. Love it to bits.
That's very interesting that you bring up the pandemic perspective because I kind of forgot about that as I was listening to this again, because
Mhm.
so I listened to this album back when it came out and mostly just because of the hubbub around it. Admittedly, like the only Porter Robinson song I had ever heard was the one with Maddie on Shelter, which is like, the anime as fuck song
Yeah,
that
yeah,
pretty much like any anime fan in 2016 that existed in 2016 and was cognizant would have listened to that song. I think it was
yeah.
very big in like the anime world.
I
I even
think
have a
that was
friend
my
who,
intro to it too.
yeah, I have a friend who like doesn't even listen to music, but he loves anime and he's listened to that song and it even got him to listen to Nurture. Like so, anime marketing is on the side there. He has God and anime on his side. Porter
Yeah,
has cornered the anime market. But
pretty much.
I also came at this from like a Maddie fan perspective because I think actually the main reason I even listened to Shelter was because of the Maddie being a part of that track. And I was really big into Maddie in high school. Have you ever listened to Maddie other
I
than
have.
Shelter?
I have listened to Madeon. Actually, I never gave Madeon a proper chance, but yeah, a friend recommended I listen to Good Faith, and I gave that a try, and it was a lot of fun. I loved that album. It was a blast. I was surprised it didn't get more radio play because a lot of the tracks were so polished and just well done.
Yeah, yeah, Maddie was really cool because I was actually following Maddie and I won't get like super deep into this, but just a quick
No,
minute.
get into it. Get into it.
I was following Maddie in like when I was in high school, and Maddie is like also pretty young. Like I was listening to his music like before he was an adult.
Mhm.
He had these songs that would go kind of viral on YouTube. This was more around like the dubstep era, so it really stood out because his music was much more uplifting and honestly sounds a lot like this album Nurture. Like I don't know too much about this kind of genre, but they sound very similar. And he had this song called Pop Culture, which was just this really, really cool song that was just riddled with like tons of samples,
Mhm.
just from all different sorts of pop music like Madonna and Daft Punk and stuff like that. And it was just this really, really cool song. And so I followed him as he released more singles, and then he eventually released this album called Adventure when I was in high school. I don't remember what year it came out. And I I would listen to it. I had a boom box that had an iPod slot. It's like the craziest piece of technology ever. It would never exist
Yeah,
today. And you'd
yeah.
put the iPod Touch in it, and then it would play music out the boom box. And I listened to like Adventure out of that thing, like I don't know, hundreds of times in high school. It was very, very good album. So this Nurture album like reminds me a lot of that, or it's like a similar sort of sound and uplifting feel.
Yeah.
And so that's part of why I maybe like this album. But yeah, coming into this, it was mostly from just literally just hearing Shelter and hearing Maddie on. So I don't
Yeah.
know anything about Porter Robinson, and I hope I learn more from hearing what you have to say about Porter Robinson because I'm just going off of like what I heard from this album and how I feel because
Yeah,
I've never listened to his past stuff or anything like that, which I should do.
totally. Yeah, well, I think Worlds is still a great album. I think sometimes you can tell it has it shows its age, but I think that's very common with all electronic music
Mm,
as technology progresses and as trends change.
yeah.
But I think Porter Robinson and even Madeon, they feel very much like a response to a lot of the dark electronic music that was
Yeah, that's true.
very dominant in
The
like
music was
2013.
great. Yeah, in 2013 dubstep, like the song would start out with like "You're going to die" and
Yeah. Yeah.
like that kind of shit. Like that was what
Yeah.
electronic music was at the time. And so this
Yeah.
very much it's like the positive side. I can be your angle, you know, when
Yeah,
dubstep is the devil.
exactly. It's very much like a response to that sort of sound. Nurture is also like a very interesting album in itself because it took, I mean, it's Porter's like he was working on other projects like he was working on Virtual Self and he had other singles here and there. Um but this was his second full-length studio album after Worlds. Worlds came out in 2014 and this came out in 2021, so that's like what
6 years,
yeah. And
7 years.
yeah, and a lot of this album actually explores it explores like themes of being a musician and working through like
Yeah.
writer's block basically. Do you want to jump into the album?
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited to hear like what sort of themes you took up from the songs because I also got some of those hints as well. But let's jump into it. Song one, Lifelike.
Yeah. So this is just an more of an instrumental. I felt like it was more of just setting the tone for the album
Yeah,
to come.
definitely.
Yeah. So you hear like a lot of like nature sounds. There's like birds chirping. There's like these very beautiful beeps and just very mellow strings and
It feels like nature, like booting up. Like it's like this computerized like nature
yeah,
sound to me.
I agree, yeah, and, I think it's interesting he called it lifelike because it is like a very computerized nature sound, but
Yeah,
I think it's very much like, bringing attention to the fact that, hey, nature is out there, you know, life is out there,
yeah.
there's a lot of life to explore, and I think that kinda ties into some of the themes of the album.
Well, I think that this kicks off a theme that I felt throughout the entire album, which is that although the album is called Nurture and there's a lot of songs about love and being
Mhm.
nurtured and growth through nurture, I think this whole album is like a contrast between the concept of nature versus nurture. Like I feel like the first half of the album is much more nature centric and then the
Mm,
second half of the album goes and toes the line into nurture, and then by the end of it, it's all nurture, which
I love
I
that.
think that's how I view it. And so, if, to me, this song is kicking up just purely nature. We're not really getting into the nurture yet.
Yeah.
This is the sun coming up, right?
I love that
That's how I see it.
interpretation. Yeah,
So
I love that interpretation. I totally hear what you're saying too with like, do you wanna get into "Look at the Sky"?
yeah, so the sun comes up, and now we're looking at the sky. Song two, look at the sky.
Yeah, and I mean, I totally hear what you're saying with, like, the whole nature angle. I mean, even the first lyric on, "Look at the Sky" is it fate? You know, kinda like, is it nature?
Mm.
Nature versus nurture? Like, are we predestined
Ooh.
to, live in certain ways or
That's
yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Well, I think your interpretation is great. I think that's an awesome way to look at it, but
This song, to me, "Look at the Sky" is very nostalgic sounding.
same.
I mean, most of this album is very nostalgic sounding, but this one's just very hopeful. And I don't know, like listening to this earlier today to prepare for this episode, I really liked this song for some reason. I guess just to go back to like my initial reaction, I was kind of lukewarm when I listened to this album in 2021. Like to be
Mhm.
honest, I don't know
Yeah.
what like state of mind I was at when I listened to it. I didn't think it was bad, but it didn't like grip me very much. And
Yeah.
song 2 here, like today just listening to it, I guess I've been like having like a pretty, hard time mentally. And then I hear this fucking song and like I don't know, it made me feel really nice. It picked me up. It allowed me to like start the journey with this album and I don't know, I just really liked it. I think it's good when a
Yeah.
song can uplift you like that. It feels like the sun is now up and we're running through the field and we're looking up at the sky and it's just
Yeah.
nice.
It's got these very, like, beautiful, vocal pads. It's got these very beautiful beeps and chirps and, this, like, gorgeous chord progression that sounds very optimistic. So, Porter sings with this processed voice that he uses. It's
Yeah.
like, he makes himself sound just, like, not like himself at all.
Yeah, that's actually something I wanted to ask about because it's
Yeah.
like the vocals are so crazy on every song because it does feel like different people.
Mhm.
Yet is it really all Porter the whole time? Other than the
Uh
feature towards the end?
I think for the most part, it's mostly all Porter other than the features,
It's really
and
cool.
so what I heard about, th I heard he did an interview on some podcast, I can't remember which one, but the reason he did all this vocal processing was because he said it made it easier for him to sing about these things that he was going through, like, all these, like, self-doubts that he was having,
Mm,
all this, like, negative self-talk, it made it easier for him to express himself if it was coming from a voice that he could use as, like, a mask, basically.
mm.
So
Yeah,
then
it's really
I
it's impressive, like, it's really cool.
yeah, I think it is really cool. The actual, like, lyrical message itself was, it got me a lot through 2021, you know, like, "Look at the sky, I'm still here, I'll be alive next year." And it also talks about, I feel like it gets into that theme of self-doubt and being, like, a creative person, oftentimes we're always wondering if we have made our last thing or if anything we make is even good enough.
Yeah,
Um, and I feel like Porter kind of wrote this song to maybe comfort himself,
I
even,
agree with that. Yeah.
just with some lyrics like, I can make something good. You know,
When you're making an album, like, it can feel very shaky. And so I think it's like actually really cool that this song is so early here because it's showing like, I can do this. Like the album's kicking up. Like you can feel like Porter's like shaky about it. Like, I don't know if it's gonna be good, but I'm gonna make it work and I'm gonna push through it. And
hmm
let's, like that's just like a good message to kick the album off with. It's very
yeah.
self-referential, very brave, I guess to say, to talk about on a song. And yeah. What were you gonna say about it?
Well, I was gonna say, like, how cathartic is it to just be struggling to, like, have this writer's block, to be struggling to make music for your project, and then come out with a line like, or a stanza like, "Are you close? Shouldn't it come to you naturally? And everyone knows you're losing your gift, and it's plain to see. But then something must have changed in me. I don't fear it anymore. Now I'm sure. Now I'm sure. Look at the sky. I'm still here." You know?
Hell yeah.
I just think it's a very beautiful and hopeful message, and the instrumental really reflects that. It swells with, like, this amazing crescendo that is just it's very, like, lifting. It puts a fire in your heart, I guess.
Yeah, it gets you going. It gets you
Mhm,
going for sure. Do you wanna
mhm.
move on to Get Your Wish?
Yeah, yeah, let's do that.
This song is so bouncy. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like a morning walk. Like, I think I might try to walk and listen to this song or just listen to this album in general, but, this was, I guess, the lead single, leading into the album, and that makes sense. Like, it's just a very well polished song.
Mhm.
Um, the lyrics seem more like a reaction to, like, a sudden phase into fame. You have like lyrics about like reaching for glory or like reaching for this like celebrity. And I don't know too much about what the process was like for that last album, Worlds, but I assume it was pretty confusing, and complicated to release such an album.
Yeah,
Um, and you can sort of see, Porter like talking about those sorts of themes. Um, I really I think like being a celebrity is just a very interesting thing in general. Like I think a lot about celebrityism and how people kind of go insane when they become celebrities. I don't
yeah.
know if you do as well. I mean, it's like it's weird for us because we have kind of a glimpse at it. We're not really celebrities, but we have a glimpse of what that kind of looks like, and so we have like a little bit of an inkling of what it might feel like. But I can't imagine just how crazy it is. But I do think I've been thinking about a lot about this because someone at the show uh, that I was setting up was talking about how celebrities are becoming more spread out and like eventually everyone is going to be a celebrity. I think that's like a really
Yeah,
interesting idea because you have stuff like TikTok, right? Where like niches are getting like so specified and we hyperfixate on like smaller and smaller like
yeah.
microcosms of just niche things. Like eventually there's going to be a celebrity for everything, like a celebrity for like I don't know, like fish hooks. There's going to be a fish
Yeah,
hook guy on
yeah,
TikTok or
yeah.
like there's a celebrity for everything now. I think that's really interesting. Um, celebrityism just it always gets me thinking a lot, and so that this song got me thinking a lot about that. Just a random thing to chew on there, but
Yeah, well, it's really interesting you bring that up because, like, in today's digital age, which is very much the age where Porter is writing his music in, almost anyone can be a celebrity, like you said. But I mean, almost anyone can just make a TikTok, and more people will hear that TikTok than ever heard King Henry VIII speak.
right, yeah,
Which is such a wild thought. And moreover, it's like you have a bunch of, I guess, virtual celebrities too,
yeah,
where the state of being a celebrity doesn't exist in reality. It exists in, like, this virtual world that doesn't affect, the actual world. So, for example, someone could have, like, 200,000 followers on TikTok and get 300,000, plays on each, video, and yet it's not affecting their material world. They'll go outside and no one will recognize them,
right. Because
or
it's so specified towards that niche, right? It's like
exactly.
in that
Or
specific context where those people are gathering online, that person is a hero. But if they walk out to the grocery store, like they're just a normal person
yeah.
like everyone else. It's kind of interesting.
It is interesting, or it's not gonna affect their material life in any way, like, they're not going to live in a mansion in Beverly Hills.
Yeah,
Um,
that's another thing. They do not pay those TikTokers.
no,
They do
no,
not make they have to make money by, like, ad deals and
right,
moving people to
like,
other platforms.
sponsorships and
Yeah,
stuff, yeah.
because you don't make any money on that shit.
And so it's interesting when you have this like virtual celebrity status. Not to say Porter doesn't have like actual celebrity status, but let's say, for example, someone has virtual celebrity status and it doesn't affect their material world or it doesn't affect their um, like how happy they are because they're still the same person. You know, not to say being a celebrity is going to make you happy because ultimately you're going to have the same issues that you've always had. You're going to have the same interpersonal struggles. You still have to like live with yourself and get to a point where you can be happy with yourself. But um, you know, when you achieve this status that you've been chasing your whole life, uh once you get there, it's kinda like, "Oh,
Yeah,
well,
what the fuck?
yeah, I'm not actually, like, a different person. I'm not more happy. I'm not, like, living better," you know? And I feel like that's some of the themes that Porter is, like, tapping into here when he says
Right.
things like, "When the glory tries to tempt you, it may seem like what you need, but if glory makes you happy, why are you so broken up?" And it's kinda like, you know, "Did you get your wish? I love this chorus. So tell me how it felt when you walked on water. Did you get your wish? Floating to the surface quicker than you sank. Idle, idle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, those themes of celebrityism are cool. I think it's just I just can't imagine being in those shoes or, like, what it must feel like,
yeah,
because we're all kind of or people that, are reaching that sort of celebrityism just have a different perspective,
yeah,
than other people do. It's probably a lot to deal with. I think it's not, uh I don't know, it's just an interesting thing to think about. It sounds
yeah,
daunting, you know?
yeah. So I feel like this song is more like Porter being like, "Hey, you got to find a reason within you to keep going because you know, I mean, at this point, like his entire life has been changed by the release of Worlds, and he's just been struggling to make more music, and he just became like miserable. Um, So it's really like he had to, like, find his own reason to keep going, kind of.
Yeah.
So, you wanna talk about wind tempos?
Wind Tempos, this is one of my favorite songs on the whole album, actually.
Yeah, me too. I
Really
love wind
interesting. That's
tempos.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is like more of an interlude instrumental track, but it's really interesting because listening to this entire album, I feel like I actually just like the instrumental songs more than the vocal
Mhm.
ones. Not that the
Mhm.
vocal ones are bad, but the instrumental songs like really stuck with me. And this song is one of my favorites on the album. I just like how the audio is like glitching in and out. Like it actually
Yeah.
kind of makes you feel like air is going like in one ear and out the other.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
very cool. It feels like wind is moving through you. You feel very swept by the wind. Like you can imagine just like a big rainbow pinwheel that you're holding up or like a kite in
yeah.
the air or big wind turbines. It just has that kind of aesthetic to it. The single cover for it, which I really like. Oh, I don't know if it's the single cover, but just the art for it. There's like art for each track, which should be mentioned. I think those are really cool. I don't know where those
Yeah.
originate from, but it's always like a photograph that kind of tells the nature side of the song, the story
Mhm.
of it, and then there's like this minimalistic sort of lines on the side. And I really like that aesthetic. It's very cool.
It is
Um,
very cool.
yeah, I really just like this one. I think it's my favorite song so far that we've mentioned, and it just puts me into like a very specific headspace that I enjoy, I guess.
It's definitely up there for me as well. It is just so beautiful, especially when the piano comes in, like, you've got these, like, crazy glitching, like, ba 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 ba
Yeah,
ba ba
yeah,
ba
yeah.
ba ba ba, and then, like, this, like, gorgeous piano comes in to just break up the
It's an
chaos.
anime ass piano too.
It
It
is.
feels like the main character's like about to give their crush a piece of mind in a classroom, you know?
Yeah, right. And I feel like what's also cool about this piano is, it sets up a melody that we hear later in another song,
Oh,
which
interesting. I
I
didn't
feel
pick up on that.
I just feel like it highlights, like, Porter has some serious, like, talent for arrangement,
Oh,
and
100%.
I can point out when we hear it again later, but I think it's cool that on this song that is so chaotic that reminds you of, like, the wind moving in any which direction and is, like, unstable and, like, you're unsure of what's gonna happen next. He sets up this melody so that on a future song, which is all about, like, homecoming,
Mm.
You hear that melody again, and it feels like such a comfort. And I just thought it was really cool that he had the mind to put so much attention into
That
this
is
song.
really cool. Yeah, I like the vocals at the end, like, they're all glitchy, and then I don't know, I picture this as sort of the peak of nature on the album, the nature theme, because I think after this we move more into nurture, because I feel like this song is just like a love song to the sound of nature, and then it kinda transitions into that, piano, and it
Mhm.
feels more like a love song and feels more like an appreciation of nurture.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what nurture is all about, love, because I think love shapes a person the strongest. Like I think love has shaped all of us to be who we are
Oh,
today.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
personally,
absolutely.
not to get too much into the debate, but I'm more of a nurture person than a nature person. So I think that I like that the album focuses more on nurture than nature, because I think that people are mostly shaped by how they are nurtured. Not that they aren't shaped by nature. I just think they're shaped more by nurture. That's just my personal
Right,
opinion.
yeah, it's like without, like, the kind of love that people give you or the care or the attention, it's like a flower, right?
Yeah,
Um, you can't, like, tend to a flower without loving the flower, because the flower will die if you don't tend to it, so,
that's cute. Some
yeah.
Undertale shit.
So, I'm playing through Undertale
Yeah, I
right
know,
now,
I
actually, yeah.
know. Yeah, I
Um
also something should be mentioned that, the digitalization of the sounds of nature are really interesting. Like, I feel like I even heard, like, a kind of like a digital cicada in the background at one point, or, like,
Mm,
just the digital sounds of wind are just really cool. I think it's cool to personify nature sounds using synths and, like, these digital sounds that Porter is playing with. I just think it's a
yeah.
very interesting vibe. I mean, you don't hear a lot of music that sounds like
No,
this, I
you don't
guess.
hear that too much. I think this is I mean, this project was when it came out, it was very, like, eye-opening for me in terms of, what someone can do in terms of
Yeah,
creativity. Like, there's so much you can do with electronic music. The sky's the limit, and I think, unfortunately, it has garnered this reputation of being very, like, repetitive, like, like, in the
yeah.
club, whatever, but there is so much creativity to be had, and I think with electronic music, it's really all about creativity at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I think that, electronic music has brought a lot to the world, and there's a lot of interesting things that you can do with electronic music. And but
100%.
also there's a place for just the booms, booms, the booms.
Oh, 100%. That's not
I love
to
that shit
drag
too.
yeah, there's
Get the
not to
rave
drag on
lights
that.
out, dude. Get the
Yeah, well,
rave
it's funny
sticks out and start Hatsune Mikuing.
it's funny you say that because I was listening to Angel Voices the other day as I was, like, thinking about what to say for this album, and
Yeah.
there's this drop in Angel Voices that is this is, Porter Robinson's other project, Virtual Self. It is absolutely filthy, like, oh my god. There's, like, this industrial, it's like industrial electronic music with, like, this kick that is just completely
Just
insane.
dirty, just
Like
dirty.
I want to I pray that one day I'll be able to hear it at a festival. Like, I imagine
Oh, hell yeah.
it would go
Yeah,
so hard.
I'll have something to say about that later on because there's a song that I
Mhm.
felt that about a lot. But when
Yeah.
I was listening to this again, because I hadn't listened to this in a very long time. When I was listening to this again today, I felt like like this would be really good live. Like this would be a really
Oh,
good album to hear live.
100%.
Like I now like
Absolutely.
need to keep my eyes and ears peeled because if Porter Robinson is in town, I think I need to go see Porter Robinson.
Yeah, or even go to, like, an electronic
Or
music
yeah,
festival,
just
like a
go to a
rave or
rave. I need
something.
to go to a raves. I think it would change my life.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I've been meaning to experience a rave
We need
at
to rave it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be a lot of fun. Just a lot of people just feeling the vibes, you know?
Hell yeah. Do you want to move into the fifth song, Musician?
I do, let's do it.
Musician. This song is pretty cool. I feel like it's again like touching on sort of the themes of fame and more specifically on Porter's rise. And I feel like it very much describes like artistic drive in general.
Mhm.
Like I think
Mhm.
any artist sort of feels that sort of drive. Like
Yeah.
making art and putting yourself out there is like very scary. Like it can be a lot sometimes. Like sometimes it feels like you can't make anything important or anything interesting or your voice isn't heard, but I feel like this song is trying to tell you that you have to push through it, you know? Like, as Porter
Yeah.
says in the one line, "Face your fears and become your heroes." I think this is ultimately a positive song about conquering that self-doubt and that low self-esteem that can come with, like, putting yourself out there, you know? Music is such an intimate thing. Like, when you hear a song made by someone, I think you forget how intimate it can really be. Like,
Yeah.
you know, making music is such an intimate process, and it is very scary, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, this is a song about putting yourself out there because it's worth it, you know?
Yeah. It's a piece of your heart that you give out for other people to connect with so that
Yeah.
they can feel less alone ultimately is what I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, this is definitely, like, one of the bangers in the album.
Mm.
Um, it has, like, this really fun, like, hook to just open it, like the down, up and up and up, right down, up and then, it turns into, like, vocal chop city, basically,
I love the vocal
where
chopping on this album.
yeah, Porter is just, like, like, letting loose with vocal chops, and I think he sampled himself, um, and then, like, re-chopped himself after he sampled himself. It's really interesting. Um, he sometimes gives a lot of insight into how he produces these things, and I think musician is definitely something people should look into if they're
Hell yeah.
curious about production in general, because, how this was produced was just, like, very interesting, and you could tell it was a lot of fun. I definitely agree with you about, the whole musician theming, and, I take this song as, like an optimistic, like, "Hey, even though I'm burnt out, even though people are telling me that I can't do this, isn't it time for me to grow up and get a job?" Like, those are some of the lyrics. He's
Yeah.
so like, "I'm sorry, like, this is my passion, this is what I really care about, and I just wanna give it my all. I can't stop, sorry," you know?
Yeah, I mean, there are lyrics about, you know, sort of the dangers of what this sort of drive can bring. You know, he says like, "I
Mhm,
burn up, I burn out. I shouldn't do this to myself." Like
mhm.
this push towards whatever you're aiming for, whether it be money or fame or even just self, you know, love. You know, it can be really invigorating, but it can also be, you know, isolating. You can burn out, you twist up and lose yourself, and so it can feel
Yeah,
like that sometimes. But this song feels like it's ultimately about finding that balance and being
yeah.
yourself and doing what you love because you love it, you know?
Agreed. And the instrumentally, it feels like the euphoria of just, like, being on, like, a high
Mm.
of, like, "Oh, I have, like, created something." I like, just being on an absolute high and pushing yourself past your limits because you just don't feel how burnt out you're getting because you're having so much fun. So, like, the instrumental is, like, so very up-tempo and very positive, but it also gets very, like, drunk and, like, woozy,
Yeah.
and, I think there's a lot of cool storytelling in the instrumental itself.
Yeah, I really like hearing what you have to say about that kinda stuff. Drunk and woozy is such a good way of putting it.
Thank you. Do you wanna talk about Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do?
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. The 6th track. This is,
Yeah.
mostly another instrumental, interlude track, and as I've been saying, I kind of prefer these a little bit more.
Mhm.
I think I'm more drawn to just the cutesy electronic songs that feel like they're more about plants, and I don't know, it's just
Yeah.
how I feel. Like, I
This
don't
one's
wanna,
very
like,
cute. It's very, like, overgrown and warm.
yeah, I think that the vocals are not bad. They're good too. It's just like I feel like the instrumentals are more something that I could put on almost whenever and feel pretty good. Like it
Mhm.
I can just lose myself in the instrumental. And this one, yeah, this is like some Mario ass shit. Like this is plants and like flowers dancing. This feels like Mario Wonder or some shit. Like it has
Yeah.
like a childlike feel to it. You feel like a little kid listening to it.
100%, and, I think Porter might have been feeling, like, very childlike wonder-esque while making this song too. I think he gets very meta with it because,
Mm,
like, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, that is a musician's scale, like the whole do, re,
right.
mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do,
Yeah,
that
it
whole
feels like a
thing.
kid, like, playing around with melody and, like, a toy
Yeah,
xylophone. Like, it
right,
feel that's what it feels
exactly.
like, yeah. It
Exactly,
feels like a
yeah.
kid, like, starting their musical journey.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful way to put it. I completely agree. I think you can tell how much fun he was having, also, like, how much thought he put into this because in the background of the instrumental, you hear these, like, whirly, keys that are actually just playing scales up and down,
Yeah, yeah, I
which
actually
is
did notice that.
yes,
I don't notice these things as much as you, but I did notice that.
it's so cute that
It is cute.
he's, like, saying do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and then in the background, you hear, like, a scale going do,
Yeah.
re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, like, and then I don't know. I just thought it was a lot of fun. I think this track is very cute. It sounds very warm and just it's adorable. I love it.
Yeah, and I think this kicks off, like, the beginning of a theme of nurture in terms of, like, this is the beginning. Like, this is
Mhm.
the song about music nurturing you. That's how I
Yeah.
feel it is. I feel like it really is a kid sitting down and realizing, like, wow, like, music is the thing that brings me happiness. This is where I can release myself,
Mhm.
and it shows how music can nurture a kid or anyone of any age to just get into a new hobby and teach you to be yourself and learn to have fun with this thing that you enjoy.
Yeah.
And I feel like this song, and then going into the next song, which is also sort of about youth and definitely about nurturing. Um, this one is more about how music can nurture a person, and clearly,
Yeah.
music very much inspires Porter Robinson. And I think this is just a song that is a tribute to the beginning of that nurtured adventure into music.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Into Mother.
Into Mother
Song
we
7,
go.
Mother, which is obviously nurture theme as fuck. This song
Yeah.
is like about being nurtured by a loving mom, which is really just fucking sweet. I love moms.
This one just feels like a hug.
Yeah, shout out to the good moms out there. I
Shout
love
out
my
to the
mom.
moms.
I love my mom a lot, and this song just makes me really happy. It makes me feel
Yeah.
very embraced.
Shout out to moms gender neutral, you know what I mean?
Yeah, hell yeah,
I
dude.
No, but really, I feel like,
No,
um
a lot of things can take the place of a mother. You know?
yeah, I think, like, the actual, like, form of a mother, if we're talking about, like, the primal essence of a mother, what is a mother? It's just someone who is very nurturing, who is your safety net, who is there for you no matter what,
Yeah,
um, and also, like, looks after you and, like, takes care of you and, like, feeds
changes
you
your
and, like,
diaper.
shows you the ropes and, like, yeah, there's some of that, but, um did you wanna talk about this is one of my favorite songs on the album, to
Yeah,
be
I would say
honest.
this is my favorite song on the album that has vocals. Like, this is just a really sweet song. Like, I
Yeah,
just feel like if I'm probably gonna try to listen to this one more if I want to feel comforted, to be honest, because recently I've been needing some comforting, and so this song kind of hit that thread for me. I'm gonna have a
yeah,
bad when I'm having a bad day, I'm just gonna pop this in, and it also makes me want to like just reach out to my mom more and just be like, "Hey, mom,
yeah,
I love you. Hope you're
no,
having a good day."
for sure. Yeah, same. I mean, this in 2021, 2022, this was my, like, one of my top comfort songs for sure. The
Hell yeah.
instrumental is just this very, I wouldn't call it soft, but it has this, like, soft feel to it despite having distorted like synths and beeps and boops and what have you.
Hmm.
It still feels like I guess inspired is
Mm.
the way I would describe this. Um I think the lyrics also are just so uplifting, and also it is, in my opinion, the catchiest chorus on the album. Like, "You'll never be alone, don't you worry, my child, and now there's an empty room you outgrew, but I'm here for you." It's so sweet, right?
Hell yeah, it is really sweet.
It's I mean, lyrically, it's pretty much all about, like, "I'm here for you, I've got your back, like, you're not gonna be alone, I wanna do what's best for you." I feel like the instrumental matches up very well. It has, like, this very, it feels like your mother, like, lighting a fire under you, like a fire of warmth, not a fire of, like, "Move your ass," but like, "Hey, I'm gonna keep you warm at night," type of thing, you
Yeah,
know?
it's like no matter what, if you're having a bad day or whatever happens, no matter what, tumultuous or catastrophic, at the end of the day, you have your mother's support or whatever warmth guides you in this life.
Mhm.
That warmth has your support at the end of the day, and it's a very comforting thought. And I think this ties, or just it's placed really well, like after Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Ti Do,
I think
because
so too.
it's sort of in that same environment of youthful embrace, the love of music
Yeah,
and the love from your mom, and just how nurture can grow you. And
yeah.
yeah, I think a great song.
I think there's also some extra depth because I feel like sometimes kids feel guilty outgrowing their parents because
Mm,
they realize how much their parents care about them, and when they start, like, moving on and doing their own things, they feel like this level of guilt about like feeling like leaving your parents behind.
Absolutely.
And I feel like this song is it's like a response to that, and it's, "Hey, you know, don't worry about it. Go out and live your life. I'm still here for you because that's just what I do as a mother," which is a
It's
really
fucking awesome.
it's a really warm message. It's very sweet.
Yeah, I definitely had that sort of like path as well. You know, there was, you know, when you turn like 16, 17, 18, you're like, ah, fuck you, parents. Like, I'm going to go out and skateboard and like spray paint, you know, but then you get a little older and you're like, shit, actually, that was like pretty cool.
Yeah.
My parents are like pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. But you wanna talk about Dulcich?
Dull Scythe. This is one of my favorite songs on the album. We're back into the instrumentals, which I like.
Yeah.
I feel like this is more of an emotionally crushing track. At least that's how I interpret it, which is why
Mhm.
it's maybe my like favorite track on the album. But I feel like this is a song like the soundtrack to all the bad things like one has to experience, and also shows that you know, nurture. You know, there's a lot of negative things that nurture you as well in a way. You know, they get you to go down a certain path, missteps, and it's kind of like crushing to come after the
Right.
song Mother, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think thematically it makes sense, right? Like you've got do re mi fa sol la ti do, which is you being very childlike, and then mother, like, okay, you've outgrown this childlike state, but I'm here as your mother. I'm setting you free into the world. And
Yeah.
then as soon as you step foot into the world, like Dulcich just hits you with a bunch of like
Yeah. And
experimental.
Dull Scythe. I mean, the way you just put that actually like really rang in my head. Getting hit by a dull scythe. That's really what life can feel like, you know?
Right? Yeah, so like sometimes life is trying to give you a clean cut, but imagine
But it
it's
doesn't
almost like
cut
a
you. It doesn't cut you all the way because it's dull.
right. It's
And you can
like
conquer it. And that's the message you need to take at the end of the day.
yeah, or you can feel a lot of pain from being hit over and over by like something
By
that
a
is
dull
supposed to cut
scythe.
you cleanly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know. I like this one a lot. Like I said, it's like a soundtrack or a soundtrack to, you know, missteps and just that when things go awry. But it also like it progresses past the dark side of life and it gets sort of optimistic and prettier towards the end, in my opinion. And it really
mhm.
feels like you're coming out the other side of the tunnel, and everyone can conquer those dark times. And it, you know, it's uplifting in that way, which I think it just works really well, like just in the middle of the album. You know, you
I
have
think
all
so
these really
too.
loving songs, and then you have to have a tough spot because there are tough spots on a journey, on everyone's journey, you know?
I
But you
think so
get through it.
too.
It's just this is like going through a tunnel. This is just a tunnel in the album.
It is. And I feel like the tunnel at the end is Sweet Time.
Mm,
If you want to talk about that
let's go
one.
into it. Sweet time.
It's so interesting because I feel like the last 4 tracks have really felt like some sort of hero's journey. The
Mm,
very first lines in this song are "The child I was, counting the days till summer would come." It almost feels
yeah.
like he's reflecting on this 3-track journey he's
It
just
is
had
pretty it is
of
pretty
growing
good,
up,
yeah.
right?
I agree.
Um, and there's a callback to the mother from 2 tracks ago. So the first verse is, "The child I was, counting the days till the summer would come, but you don't live forever. Your mother will one day bring you home."
Yep.
And I feel so stupid because I wasn't scared of this before, but since I met you, I don't wanna die no more.
Yeah, and this sort of moves into the theme of love. I think
Mhm.
there's a lot of tracks here in this latter half that are more love songs and ballads and a tribute to sort of love later than life or later in life, right? We've moved past childhood, we moved past adolescence almost, you know, we moved past all this. We're able to appreciate our mother and what our childhood brought for us and what music brought for us and how it nurtured us. And now we can focus on, you know, love of your life, you know, is how I interpret it. There's a lot of songs about I'm pretty sure just about uh, Porter's girlfriend.
Yeah, Porter's girlfriend is incredibly special to him is kinda the vibe. This song is also one of my favorites. I mean, it's I'm putting it on the slow dance playlist, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's just such a sweet, uplifting message, and I'm sure most people can relate to the feeling of having someone that you care so much about that it's almost like you wish you could have more than just one lifetime with them. You
Mm.
just care about them so much that you do wanna spend your sweet time with them, and you get scared of, like, actually dying and leaving them behind, and
Mm.
I think it's a very beautiful song. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
very
gorgeous.
pretty. It works in the context of the album. I don't know if I would return to a lot of these like more lovey slow tracks because I don't know. I don't listen to a lot of music like that. I guess, but in
Mhm.
the context of the album, it's very important. I mean, love is a huge part of how we are nurtured as humans and how we grow, and it's very sweet. It's very touching. Sweet
Yeah.
time. It's quite a sweet time.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. There's, like, this very slow and soft instrumental with, like, these reverberating percussion instruments, and it's just very beautiful. It's so
It's
beautiful,
it's very nice.
and I love the chorus.
Yeah,
I
it's
could
such a
keep going.
sweet time, isn't it?
It is, yeah, I could keep going. We should move on. I'm gonna keep
Song 10, Mirror.
yeah.
Mirror is about pushing through self-doubt, pushing through the self-doubt of, not believing in ourselves. Sometimes we are very nurtured and we have love and we have all these things, but we don't have self-love, right? And it could be hard to achieve that. But this song tells you to listen to yourself and be there for yourself. And it's that's what I took from it, at least. What did you take
Yeah.
from Mirror?
Okay, so I have a funny story about Mirror.
Okay.
This was one of the singles that came out that I listened to a lot,
Yeah.
and I misheard the lyrics, uh, in a way that makes 0 sense at all.
Let's hear it.
Um, so I thought verse 1 was, "Well, you were the aftermath of every judgment, so go ahead and slap that ass."
Really?
That's just the way I heard it. I don't
Now I
know
gotta listen.
why.
Now I gotta listen
Yeah,
again.
yeah, play it without looking at the lyrics and tell me if
Okay, I'm listening right now.
yeah, tell me if that's what you hear.
Hold on, there's a big start to the song. I gotta get to the lyrics.
Mhm, mhm.
I hear slap that ass. I hear that. He's like,
Yeah, yeah,
slap that ass.
yeah, but the actual lyrics are, "Well, you were the aftermath of every judgment, so cold by the sweat that you'll waste
Yeah,
away."
so not slapping any ass. Porter's not doing
No.
that. But there's a lot of nurture and love in slapping an ass. And
I
that should
guess
be
so,
that should
yeah.
be respected. But no, but yeah, this we what how do you feel about this song overall?
I like it. I think it was a great single. I think I just played it to death, unfortunately, like, not last year, but when it came out, I listened to it on repeat, like, way too many times.
Mm,
So I know it too well. I think it's very great. I think the chorus is fantastic. Um, it has, like, these really wonderful vocal pads that are almost, like, gothic and
mm.
dark. They add a lot of texture. The lyrical content, like, "And I know you'll say how I'm a burden. Yeah, do your worst all at once. I know what you want from me. I know what you're thinking." Um, but it's really just like staring yourself in the face. And meanwhile, he's singing this with these very modulated, processed vocals. Again, kind
Mm.
of like wearing that mask so that it's easier for him to put this out there.
That's really
Um,
interesting, actually.
yeah. So
Eh,
I think I think it's a really beautiful song. And it has this really awesome outro with like this random voice that is like giving this pep talk almost that's like, keep going, you're nearly there."
Yeah, I sort of see
Um,
it as like the voice in his head, you know what I mean?
yeah, this song feels like when you're running a marathon and you're near the end and people are cheering you on and you have to dig deep within yourself. So it's almost like nurturing yourself, being there for yourself, which I think is a
Yeah.
beautiful message.
Hell yeah. I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, the art for this cover is very much fits the theme as well. There's like a fence, so you feel and there's like this chaotic scribble that just feels like almost like a fight with yourself. That's how
Yeah.
I kind of interpret it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very very uplifting in the end, and then we move into something comforting because we all need to hear something comforting every once in a while.
We do. We do. What do you think the something comforting is here?
I think that this is Porter just screaming for somebody to comfort him. And I think that in the songs after this, we see that the love of his life has comforted him. But I think that like this, like especially towards the end where he's just like something comforting, something comforting, something comforting. Like
Mhm.
he's calling out for what, could maybe comfort him, like something to comfort him. And I feel like in the end, it's like the music that is comforting
Mhm.
him. So that's how I say
Yeah.
it. I think it's the music at the end of this song that is comforting him and anyone who loves music.
I take this song as a very sweet panic attack,
Interesting.
um, because it has, if I'm not mistaken, it's the one with the lead that's going like, "Diddle-a, diddle-a, dun, dun, diddle-a, diddle-a," you know that
Yeah.
one?
Yeah.
And it's got, like, this very pounding kick, this very consistent, kick that you can kinda, like, dance to, but at the same time, it has, like, lyrics like, "If I send this void away, have I lost a part of me?"
Yeah,
Kinda
it's
like,
this is peril.
this is peril. It's also, I think it highlights this really interesting phenomenon of being scared to get better
Mm,
and move on from a situation, because in some ways I feel like people can get so attached to the grief and the trauma that they have been through,
that's true.
and it, trauma is a huge part of informing who you are as a person, in the same way that anything nurturing informs who you are as a person, be that love or trauma. And it's a scary feeling to feel like you're moving on into the unknown, because in some ways you're familiar with this trauma, you recognize it as being a part of you, so it's almost like grappling with the fact of, hey, if I am getting rid of this dark part of my life, am I
Mm.
also giving away part of myself? Which I think is an interesting thought to ponder.
Yeah, and you know what? We all everyone right now listening should go say something to someone and, comfort them. Because I
Say
think
something, say
say
something
something
comforting.
comforting, please, for the love of God. That's
We all
like, I
need
feel like
something comforting.
I feel like towards the end of this song, like, I was waiting for Porter to just be like, "Please help me, cover me."
Yeah.
Yeah, but, like, you know what, Alex? I'm gonna say something comforting to you.
Oh, okay. I'll say something comforting to you after.
You rule, man. I
Hey,
love
I
you,
think
dude.
I love you too. I think you're awesome as hell.
You're awesome as hell.
No, dude, you're so fucking cool and creative and kind-hearted.
Oh, thank you. That's you, dude. You're fucking smart and genius and creative and good at singing and fucking awesome.
Dude, no, you. What? No, no, you.
No, you.
You're dope as hell. You're literally so cool. You do so many cool things. You care about people. You look out for people. I think you're just a wonderful person.
Now we've been comforted by something.
We have been. And guess what? Porter Robinson's girlfriend comforts him on the next song.
Awesome. Song
This,
12. Yeah, I have a feeling you really like this one.
this is such a beautiful song. Also one of my favorites. It's this very stripped down ballad with just this guitar playing a pluck and these occasional, like, beautiful swelling background vocals. Um and it's pretty much a song about, like, hey, can we slow down time, or Porter is feeling anxious about how much time is left, and he's stressing about how much time he has left, but his girlfriend is here like, hey, it's more about just enjoying what you have. Just enjoy what you have right now. Don't, you're spending too much time in your head, don't worry about it. So we're going to
Mm.
be happy right now, we're going to enjoy what we have right now. And I'm sorry, I'm blabbering about this song because I
Oh,
love it
you
so
can
much.
blabber. Yap away.
Thank you. I think one of the most, this I feel emotional just thinking about this, but one of the absolute most beautiful moments on this album is, so remember we were talking about how Porter has this vocal processing that makes it easier for him to express things he's unsure about, or that are, like, hard for him to talk about.
Sure, yeah.
There's one line where he drops the vocal processing,
I did notice that, yeah.
and it is to say I love you. Right? Like, the lyric, "It's just that I love you." He drops the vocal processing. It's just him being his authentic self. The thing he knows for sure, the thing that is most true to him on this album, is that he loves his girlfriend, which
He's
is
a wife guy.
he's
He's
a
a
wife
wife guy.
guy. I just think it's sweet. I think it's very sweet. This is such a sweet, sweet song. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
The sentiment is beautiful. What do you think?
So I'm gonna sound like the Grinch in, in
What?
comparison to what you're saying. I like this song, but I okay. I mean, I gotta be honest. I don't like it that much. Like, it's not that it's bad. It's very pretty. It's very sweet. I think just in the context of sitting through these, I feel like I'm. It's like candy. Like, I've eaten like a bunch of candy, and I'm just like overdosing on candy. But It is really happy. Like, the message is really good, and, like, that "I love you" line is really sweet. And
Yeah.
I think my favorite line in this is, just the line, "I picture you happy." I just think
Mhm.
that's a really sweet yet simple idea. Like, we should all maybe strive to think like, it's nice to you should just think about people being happy. And I think there's, like, a lot of vindictive thought in the world, and,
Mhm.
it's just not positive for human growth or getting together and having a good time. We should just picture people that you love and respect having a happy time, wish the best for them. I think that's just
Absolutely.
a really sweet and simple idea to wish on anyone, not just your lover, just
Of
anyone.
course. Isn't
It's a
it
nice thought.
nice isn't it nice to just have a song where there's no, uh I don't know what I'm trying to say. Isn't it just nice to have a song where you actually just express peace and
Yeah.
prosperity for someone?
No, I agree. Like, in the context of the album and the theme, like, it works a lot, for sure.
Yeah. I think it's a beautiful song, but
Yeah.
we can move on to the next one because 'cause I'll just keep talking about it if we don't, so
Song 13, "Unfold," featuring totally enormous extinct dinosaurs. Do you know anything
Mhm.
about what is totally enormous extinct dinosaurs? Wait, actually, no, I
Uh,
had something to mention on Blossom,
oh, yeah, yeah, go for it, go
really
for it.
quickly. Uh, we were talking about, like, the vocal processing and how Porter can sound different on different songs.
Mhm.
I really think it's neat that it sounds like it's a guy and a girl. Like, it
Yeah,
sounds like
like
a
androgynous?
yeah, well, I think it sounds like a duet to me. Like, it almost sounds like 2 different people who are in love,
Oh,
both
yeah,
singing at the same time, which I
yeah,
think that's the most intrigue I have with that track from a production standpoint. Like, it sounds like a duet even though I'm assuming it's just 2 Porter vocal tracks, just
yeah,
pitched differently. But it's
yeah,
it's a cool
he's
effect.
really creative how he does that. I think it's really creative, and I noticed a lot of vocal processing happening after this album was released.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
back into Unfold. This song is pretty nice. For
Mhm.
some reason, when I was listening to it, this is the one that I could imagine sounding really cool live because it's just like so loud. Like I can imagine it just like takes you over in a crowd for like multiple minutes and just like suspends you there in it.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like a waterfall cascading onto you with just, like, these cacophonous drums that build throughout the track and are just so powerful and moving. This is actually my favorite song on the album.
Really? That's really interesting.
Yeah, I think it is just a really beautiful culmination of all the emotions that have been pent up, and it feels like just letting them out in this, like, raging river
Unfolding it.
of sound and music, and I think the chorus is very beautiful, and it's one of my favorite choruses.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate that there was a guest singer on this. Although like I think Porter like nails just like the different sort of sounds and making it sound like he's a different singer in each song. It was
Mhm.
nice to just hear another vocalist in general. Um and it was a cool duet and it sounded really cool and yeah, I want to hear it live. This is the one that really made me want to hear Porter Robinson live.
Yeah, I think hearing this live could be a dream come true if I could hear it, but
It would unfold you. Would you just unfold in the
it would
audience?
unfold me. It would unfold me. So, I think it's a great song. I really like the build up too with it's very minimal to start, and then when it gets into the chorus, it's like bam, like all of a sudden.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I love this song, but you want to talk about the 14th and final track, Trying to Feel Alive?
The final track, "Trying to Feel Alive." I really like how this song opens up. Like, it
Yeah.
sounds just like elementary music sounds accompanied by, like, kinda the glitchy sounds and, like, the chopped up vocals, and you know what this song feels like to me?
What?
The game Little Big Planet.
Yeah, right?
Did you ever play Little Big Planet?
I did.
Dude,
It's just a sweet game.
if they ever do another Little Big Planet, like this song, but maybe, like, a lot of songs on this album would be perfect for, like, just tracks on levels, like shout out to Little Big Planet. That game is awesome. But,
That game is amazing, yeah.
yeah, I like the instrumental interlude to start this one off. Like I've been saying, I really like the instrumentals because I think when Porter allows the instrumentals to shine, the vocals, don't completely cover over it, and you can just really hear how good Porter is at developing, like, these really interesting soundscapes, and you can hear him, like,
Mhm.
play with the contrast of sounds, but then when the vocals do come in, like, a bit, like, halfway through on here, you hear, like, squeaks and and beeps and boops, and then the percussion comes in, and then there's a drop, and then it all comes together. Like, and I feel like this song pulls that off really well. Like, it kind of just takes all the sounds of the entire album and just slowly builds them up and puts them together, and then finishes off really strong. So I feel like it's a really good closer in that way, and it's also a really uplifting message at the end that throughout this entire journey, everything's gonna be all right. And I'm all right with that.
Yeah, it felt very much like a full circle moment.
Yeah.
Starting from the beginning where we have something that is lifelike. Um, Lifelike meaning, I guess, it's similar to life. It's not completely life. It's
Mm.
lifelike, and then here we have trying to feel alive. It just feels like the perfect end to a hero's journey.
Yeah.
Um, he's asking himself these questions, like, what have I learned through my journey here? Um, and he ends the whole album, maybe it's a gift that I couldn't recognize, trying to feel alive. So it feels
Aw.
like he's kind of come to terms with everything, like all of the forms of nurture there are, uh, and the kinds of nature there are too, and the beauty of nature, the beauty of nurture, the beauty of his girlfriend. uh,
Loves his girlfriend.
yeah, and he is just, to me, it sounds like he is paradoxically satisfied.
Yeah, I
Although
agree.
yeah, like, although he's saying, "Maybe I don't really wanna be satisfied," this feels like he is satisfied, to me, instrumentally, at least.
Yeah.
So,
Closing thoughts?
closing thoughts, gorgeous album. Um, I love it a lot. It is still a comfort album that I return to. Uh, it was, a really big inspiration for me too when it first came out. I, uh, I love this album to bits. I have it on vinyl. Um,
Fuck yeah.
yeah, what can I say? It is a great album. I care about it a lot. I like it a lot. It's very special to me, and that is why I wanted you to listen to it.
Yeah, and I'm actually really happy that you made me well, you didn't make me. You forced me on the chair, and I was
I
like
put a gun to your head.
yeah, had my eyes opened up, and I was
Yeah.
yeah, with toothpicks. No, but I really liked this time around because when I first listened to the album back when it came out, like I said, I was kind of lukewarm on it, and I still don't think it's like my favorite thing ever, but I liked it like a lot more. And maybe it's just because I needed a pick me up, you know what I mean? Like I needed
Yeah.
some uplifting energy in my life in this moment. And so
Yeah.
it kind of satisfied that urge or that need. Um, but I also just really liked the instrumental tracks a lot more. Like those just really stuck out to me. Like the song "Wind Tempos" and "Dulcet," I think are my favorites. Those just
Mhm.
really did it for me. I don't know. And then there are some songs with vocals that I liked a lot too, like "Mother" and "Get Your Wish." For me, like the latter half of the album like falls off a little for me. Maybe like I said, because I'm like the Grinch and I can't handle too much sweetness. You know, maybe if I just keep listening to this, I'll become a better person. Like I'll get happier. So I
Oh,
could like
you're
you know
already
what
a
I
great person.
mean? But yeah, I like that about this album. It's an uplifting sound. Like reading the comments on some of the videos because I was listening to this on YouTube. A lot of people were just saying like this song got me through a lot, or this song helps me study, or this song made me feel a certain way. And I think it's just a really good thing what this album has done for people. It's very uplifting. And even though I personally prefer like the glitchier and the crazier songs and maybe the
Mhm.
instrumentals, I think the love ballads are pretty important too. And obviously like, you like them a lot and a lot of people like them. Um
Yeah.
Something that like I noted earlier, I really like the single cover art a lot.
Mhm.
Or like just that there's like a cover for each song. I just really like the photograph attached with the kind of minimalist lines. I actually like want to get minimalist lines like that tattooed on my body. So I kind of like that kind of look.
Yeah,
But also like the
it's a cool look.
dichotomy is really cool.
Yeah. I think Porter means so much to so many people, like you were saying, and, I think this album will be like a nice thing for people to go back to, especially when they had it during such a dark time, because I already forgot about the pandemic, not gonna lie, like, I
Yeah.
it's almost like it didn't happen to me
Been there, done
in my
that.
mental history, and regardless, I mean, it's still, I feel like, important to recognize that during a time when so many people were depressed and just uncertain, this album came out and it was just there for people, and so it was like it was to me it was a beacon of hope in an
It was
otherwise
cathartic.
it was cathartic. It was really nice,
Yeah.
and so yeah,
Yeah, I just think these themes of a loving mother and the warmth of embrace and love in general and love of music, love of hobbies. It's just cathartic in general. And I mean, I wish I picked up on that more when it came out because that probably would have been. But I guess I was just in pandemic hell brain mode or something. But
yeah,
it's nice to hear, and yeah, I really liked it. So normally this is the part of the show where Alex and I would rate the album, but going forward, we're actually deciding that we're not going to rate the music that we listen to. I think we kind of want to let the music, kind of speak for itself, or let our thoughts kind of speak for themselves.
yeah,
Um, so we're not going to rate it today. We're gonna blue ball you here.
yeah.
I hope you can
Well,
understand.
I think it's just we spend an hour and change talking about these things. It feels kind of out of place to rate it after
It
talking about it
does.
for an hour and change. Like maybe if we were talking about it for 10 minutes, it would make more sense. But
Look, if you want to
um,
have a conversation, I'm down to have conversations about rating things, just in general to anyone. But I feel like this, as we keep doing it, it feels more just about our experience and our emotions with it, and it feels weird to just like distill it down to a number at the end.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. That's kind of what we agreed on. So, hopefully people understand. If you guys want to rate it, feel free.
yeah, go for it.
Um,
Everyone handles music differently. I think any way that you come out of an album is valid.
yeah. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for listening to Music Posting. You can follow us over on Twitter at Music Posting Pod. Uh, whether
That's
you're
where you will
listening,
get updates on what we'll be reviewing next as well.
yeah, yeah. So check us out over there, whether you're listening on YouTube or Spotify. If you want to follow along and join our little music book club here. Um, this has
Heck
been
yeah.
Music Posting.
This has been a very pleasant music posting. Thank you for picking this for us to listen to, Alex.
Thanks for
Thank you.
listening.
Thanks
Yeah,
for listening. Bye. I'm Astrid. Bye.
I'm Alex. Later, skaters.